Hey everybody, it's Rocco Johnson, your Lifestyle Focus Wealth Coach. How are you doing today? It's Lifestyle Focus Friday. It's good to be back. It's good to be back in the studio. It's good to be talking to you. How are you this Friday? How are you this Friday? Hey, listen, we got a wonderful, wonderful topic for you today. And I thought we would just sit back, relax, and unwind a little bit. And we're going to talk about money and memory and healing. Are you in financial alignment, or have you been in misalignment due to a past trauma, past relationship? We're going to talk about it in this episode, and we're going to talk about the invisible currents that shape your financial behaviors, especially after you might have had a toxic relationship or a traumatic relationship, something that really moved your spirit. This conversation is bold, I must warn you. It's healing. And it's actionable. So all we want to do is empower you to confront your past and claim the wealth that you were aligned for originally and step into that line so you can be the best version of yourself that God intended for you to have. Yep, that's today's topic. And I'm your host, Rocco Johnson, and I'm hoping that this one moves the people that we need to move and get you in the right direction. I'll see you on the inside. Hey, it's Rocco Johnson. Good to see you. This is Lifestyle Focus Wealth Friday. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you for joining us. And if you couldn't hear me before, I'll say it again. Today's episode, we're going to be talking about money and memory. We're going to be talking about money and memory and the healing part of it, right? Are you in financial misalignment after a relationship trauma? This episode, we're going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about that invisible emotional current that shaped the behaviors of your lifestyle. And especially after a traumatic relationship, this conversation is bold, it's healing and actionable. So our goal in this one is only to empower you and help you to confront your past and claim the wealth that God's had in store for you the whole time, that you originally were aligned for. Yes, this topic is one of those topics that people won't always be able to recognize up front. But I felt like if we can go ahead and talk about that together, we as lifestyle-focused wealth people and a part of our community is we want to help one another. We want to be able to share from past experiences of each and every one of us that might be able to help us move forward and watch us build. And there's nothing's better than watching an architect build. And when we build together, it's so powerful, right? It's so powerful. So I just want to say good day to you. Good day to you. Get your seatbelts ready. Get your questions ready. And I want to welcome you in before we get started, right? I want to welcome you in before we get started because, I know there's some friends of ours that haven't been here, that haven't seen us before. And I just want to say thank you for joining us and being here and coming in and hanging out with us. So some of the rules right before we get started, I want to make sure that we understand that we want you to be back. So welcome back. So when the lights go out, are you ready? And, one of the things I must say that I need you to do when you decide to make a comment today, be sure to put the words takeaways down in the comments, in the chat. Please put it in the comments, in the chat. That way I can see what points I'm making or what points hit home with you that resonate with you and your spirit, and we can continue to have a conversation about it. And possibly I can answer your question while we're online and while we're on the air. So do me a favor, put the words takeaways in front of you. And I know we have a fan following out there. I'm just going to ask you guys to do one thing. We need more followers. We need more subscribers. and all the good stuff, and it helps us with the algorithm. So do me a favor. Smash that like button below. Smash that like button below. Subscribe and stay locked in. And do me a favor. Share it with someone that could use this information. Don't keep it all to yourself. I want you to also click that notification bell because we want it to ring every time we have new content that's ready for you. We want to make sure that you never miss a drop of wisdom that we're dropping on you. We don't want you to miss nothing. This is more than just content. This is the blueprint to your living and living free. So let's build it together, all right? So do me a favor. Go ahead and smash that like button. Go ahead and smash that subscription button and go ahead and let somebody else know where you are. And that will help us out a lot, right? But at the end of our program today, go to the descriptions. Go to the descriptions and sign up immediately to receive our bi-weekly email. It contains all the articles and travel and recipes and much, much more. It's absolutely free to you just for listening. So I just want to get some way of saying thank you and want you to be a part of our Lifestyle Focused Wealth community. All right? So it's customized just for you. And our purpose of being here is just to do this. It's talked about you becoming a Lifestyle Focused Wealth member. And you can do that online. And we got much more coming up. All you have to do is remember, it's $16 a month when you pay your annual subscription. And it's chock full of nuts. We're talking about what millionaires and billionaires do. That's what we do. And we're going to align you with other people that are already taking advantage of what those millionaires and billionaires are doing and the tools we're using it. So I'm going to tell you when, I'm going to tell you why. But in order to learn how, you need to be on the inside. So think about that for a second. So let's talk about today's show. Man, this is a topic that for some, it may be a hard listen to. So if I trigger anyone, that's not our intent. I don't want to trigger anyone. We're just talking about the things that has mattered. And that thing that matters, somebody out there may have gone through something very similar to get you through it. And that gives you a shortcut. That means you don't have to go through it as long as probably the person who's giving you the way out, right? That's how we talk about it. And we want to focus on how we express ourselves. Because the thing that you control the most is you. You don't control all the other things. So what if your financial setbacks aren't about poor planning at all, but it was about unresolved emotional debts that you have? See, it could be, it could be the fact that there's something that happened in your past that didn't allow you to get that part of you cleaned up. And it's still bugging you. It's still draining your spirit. You've learned to compromise and sit where you felt most comfortable and safe without walking into your true alignment. But the truth is, it's not safe at all. It's uncomfortable. And as you continue to grow and the more and more knowledge you gain, you start to figure out that where you are is not what God designed for you. It's not the design for you. It doesn't fit. Your vision and your abilities are too big for where you're sitting right now. So if you've learned to live without finances, you're sitting around and you have these great ideas, but you never put them into action because you're afraid of what someone else is going to say. Well, we need to talk about your belief system. We need to talk about your belief system, and we need to shift that mindset. We need to shift that mindset immediately. So you'll leave today with practical steps that will rewrite your financial story starting now. That's what this is all about. But first, I just want to say, who's out there? Good day. I see you guys. Sam, I see you. Hey, Sandy, what's happening? Happy Friday to you too as well. Thank you very much for stopping in. You know, I know we got more and more viewers, and I love it when everybody just leaves me a name or where you're from in the comments below. It makes it easy for us to have a conversation, at least virtually anyway, because this is live. You know, some things are unpredictable. Some of the things that we talk about are just unpredictable. And we want to leave room for that, right? We can't be perfect all the time, but we're going to do the best we can to give you the information that we want. So I got a question for you, and I got to ask this question. Ask yourself, are my spending patterns protecting me, or are they sabotaging me? Are my spending patterns protecting me or sabotaging me? I want you guys to put that in the chat before we get started. Put it in the chat. Protecting or sabotaging? Which one is it? Your spending patterns. Are they protecting you or are they sabotaging you? And then we want to journal it. And that truth is at the beginning. And that's where we got to be. We got to be at the truth. Go ahead and put that down in the chat. Put that in the chat. I want to see where we are. I think that's important. Why? Because we got to know where our starting points are, right? It's just like anything else. When we're addressing our finances or our lifestyle, it only makes sense to know exactly where you are at the table, right? Right? So, after you've asked yourself, what did you see? What did you see? Are you seeing yourself making moves that are just super safe, that you've learned to tell yourself you're satisfied with? Or do you know in the deep, deep, deep back of your mind that you're not performing at the level that you need to be performing? Do you know in the back of your mind that you have allowed your mindset to get in the way of what is really intended for your work on this planet? You know, for me, I really think this is a mic drop moment, because this question actually, it reframes the entire financial conversation that we've been having previously. It's from spreadsheets to soul work. And the soul work we got to work on is internal. It's mental. It's emotional. It's not just poetic. This is backed by psychology. There's experts out there that's actually talked about describing emotional debt as the accumulation of unresolved things. Trauma. The accumulation of unresolved feelings. Shame. Fear. That's silently shaping our decisions. When we really think about that. When it's left unchecked, this can lead to chronic stress. This can lead to avoidance. This can lead to physical symptoms that happen with your body that you may not have even been prepared for. Ever thought about it? Ever thought about it? Because when you're going through things, you're always focusing on how I can get past today, right? I want to talk about how that quote I just mentioned, it activates action because it shifts the blame from being incompetent to insight. See, people stopped beating themselves up a long time ago. If people stop beating themselves up, they can start asking deeper questions. And when you start to ask these deeper questions, that deeper question that causes you to think a little bit deeper, a little bit more time with yourself, it invites healing. Not just hustle. A lot of times we're out here just trying to hustle to make our finances happen without healing. See, financial planning becomes an emotional restoration. So when you sit down with your professionals, it's not always about the product. I tell people all the time, our lifestyle focused wealth philosophy, it doesn't sell product. It builds legacies. And sometimes when we're in these one-on-one discussions with our clients, it becomes very emotional. And part of what I've learned over the years is that restoration comes when we're enlightened and we look at what's going on in the person's life and why they feel like they feel and why their relationship with their money is as it is. That can be interesting. It opens up the door to legacy work. And the one thing I want to make sure we talk about is once emotional debt is addressed, we can have strategic wealth building processes that help wealth become possible. So if you're thinking that maybe, Rocco, you're saying these things and you got my ear, but I'm not quite sure. It's possible. It's possible that you could build your entire lifestyle around this idea. And you could turn it into your personal brand. Similar to what we call our legacy architect platform out here. You are legacy architects. Why do we call you legacy architects? Because you're helping to build your legacy. You, I, together, side by side, not across the table. We're having these conversations because this is what is necessary for you to reach the next level. The next level, right? So, number 2, are y'all still with me out there? Put something in the chat. Throw something in the chat. If you understand where I'm coming from, and maybe you're honest about where you are in your life, throw it in the chat. Let me know. Let me know. I want to see. Because I know we have people out there listening. So when we're talking about our section of this conversation, let's focus on reclaiming your financial blueprint. And let's talk about that for a second. Reclaiming your financial blueprint. What am I meaning by that? I mean rewriting your self-worth. And when I say write it down, I mean literally grab a pen, a piece of paper, some wet ink, and write the words, I am more than my income. I am more than my income. And that's a strong statement because when we have this conversation about our self-worth, a lot of times we forget, even when we're just meeting people for relationships, maybe you're dating, maybe you're out for a drink, and people see you as a value because of what you do for a living. But you have to remind yourself, I am more than my income. It isn't just a mindset shift. It's a radical act of emotional and financial liberation. See, when you rewrite your self-worth, you're not just changing your thoughts, you're changing your trajectory, right? That part of your life is forever shifted. And that's why this reframing matters. See, because it breaks the productivity trap. It breaks that up. So you must be measuring your value first by how much you earn or how much you produce. Stop measuring by that. That really doesn't matter. How much you earn and how much you produce. Because in the scheme of things, it just doesn't matter, right? Let's talk about how you restore emotional equity. See, you can reclaim your worth by just knowing that you're a good person, by enhancing and elevating your personal character, by being creative, and then contributing to the community, to people around you. It's not cash flow. It's all about character, creativity, and contribution. The 3 C's. That's what helps to restore you emotionally. Equity in your emotions is probably one of the most valuable assets to your life. It unlocks abundance. And we've talked about abundance. And most people are living a life of scarcity. So when you detect or identify with your income, if that's the only thing that people identify you with, you open space for wealth and to flow without fear or shame when you learn to detach yourself from that identity. See, when you stop worrying about how much money you're making, when you start focusing on how many people you're helping, how good of a person you're going to be, how creative it's going to be, and how unlimited the amount of information you want to give, the amount of people you want to help before your day's over, guess what? Your income doesn't even matter. It really just ceased to exist. That's why I always tell people, cash is just a tool. And one of the biggest things is we start focusing on why is it just a tool? Because it's just a material item. Of course, we need it to live, but don't let it define you. Don't let it define you, right? I know somebody's out there saying, Ronco, I need some dollars, though. I can't not have dollars. No, I'm not saying that. Let's be real. Let's be real. So here's some quick activation points I want you to have for that topic. And here's a mirror moment, okay? I want you to say it loud to yourself. I'm worthy when I rest. I'm valuable when I create. And I am more than my income. Once you start to understand that, your day is going to shift. I am worthy when I rest. And I am valuable when I create. And I am more than my income. Number 2, the legacy sketch. Let me ask a question for you. If your income were to disappear, what legacy would you, what about you will remain in a legacy? Have you experienced a lights out moment in your life where you come to realize that if my life were to end today, or if my income were to disappear today, what legacy will remain? Would I still be a good person? Would I still have high character? Would I still have high value, even without income? Put that answer down on your piece of paper and we start building from there. Hey, Leela, I see you. Good day, good day, good day. Thank you for checking in. So we're talking about our financial misalignment, the healing of financial misalignment. That's what our topic is today. And a lot of us are just underproducing. A lot of us may be underproducing and don't even realize it. Maybe because your traumatic experiences has kept you from wanting to be around other people. Well, let's talk about the financial detox. Financial detox is this: when you unfollow accounts that may trigger a comparison and replace them with voices that affirm emotional wealth. That's going to help you out. Unfollow them. Anything that's going to trigger you, get rid of it. Replace that with something meaningful, with voices in your head that affirm that you are emotionally wealthy. Number 4 today, reintroduction. Give yourself a reintroduction ritual that you do for yourself. You could do it once a week, maybe twice a week. I don't know. You might even do it every day. But I'm going to challenge you listeners out there and you viewers that are watching our podcast to introduce themselves to yourself without mentioning your job or your earnings. Literally, introduce yourself without talking about that at all. That's the challenge. You know, I'll give you an example. I'm a visionary. I'm a healer. I'm a builder of legacy. None of those things have nothing to do with how much money I make, how much I'm producing. Are you understanding me? Are you understanding me? Give me a thumbs up down low if you can. Let me know if this is resonating with any one of you out there, because we know that every once in a while, we need a reset. Every once in a while, we all need a reset, right? That's all we're talking about. It's just, the reset. So rebuilding safety and clarity is important, and with tools that make you feel empowered. That's what we want to do here. We want to make sure you have the tools to make you feel empowered. And a lot of those tools is emotional intelligence, financial intelligence. And you know me, I like to tell you, when we're talking about intelligence, we're talking about putting all of these things, the knowledge, the literacy, the education, all of those things together create intelligence. Because it's not just about recovery. Rebuilding safety and clarity is not about recovery. It's just about reclaiming your power. We'll let that sink in. And then you have these tools in your life that feel like extensions of your values. They're not burdens. So whether you're guiding clients, and if you're an advisor out there and you're guiding clients through a financial transformation, or whether you're helping them rewrite their emotional narrative, the tools that you choose should feel intuitive, affirming, and aligned with your legacy. Am I hitting home with someone today? Because empowerment is important, man. Empowerment through safety is so important. Because safety-centered tools keep you safe. For some people, those tools may be prayer, it may be meditation, it may be keeping people who have a negative outlook of things away from you from a distance. It might be a family member. It doesn't have to be a distant person. You just have to keep yourself safe. And you have to use these tools, these trust, what I call trust structures. In the financial world, we use irrevocable trust, not just for asset protection, but as an emotional anchor. It symbolizes stability and foresight. So you can tie this together. Relationships, financial, these things are all tied together. See, for visual framework, when we're talking about the storytelling methods, sometimes it can be hard to take this abstract concept and turn it into some emotional resonance for you to experience. But if you can imagine, if I do my job right today, someone's going to see it. And this interface, the internet, it's going to feel like they're entering a sanctuary of legacy. This podcast is their sanctuary, as it is for me. I can honestly tell you that. So let's do this. Do you want to build clarity around your retirement? Is that important to you? Or is it about rewriting your relationship with money? Is that important to you? Put that down in the chat. Put it in the chat. I think I'm giving you guys some nuggets that you just can't eat today. I'm giving you a larger nugget today. Because that autonomy builds psychological safety. And we need a we need what is called our financial detox kit. That's what we need. We need our financial detox kit. It's a kit that I call it a kit or tools that help you declutter your financial noise. Because like comparisons to a trigger, outdated policies and fear-based spending habits, all those things need to be pushed out of your body and out of your mind and out of your emotions. It's clogging you up. It's keeping you stagnant. It's spoiling you from the inside out. Clarity tools, they guide, but don't overwhelm, are important. That's what we call legacy maps. See, we're talking about timelines that show today's decisions ripple into future generations. Your idea of what your financial plan should look like, it's going to be there. Evidence of it is going to be there down the road. So if you're one of those people that have lack of planning now, don't expect too many people to be there. When an emergency comes up for you, it's not an emergency for everyone else. The decisions that you make today will determine how you're going to be able to get out of that situation, how you handle that situation. I'm looking for you in the chat. I told you it was going to be a heavy conversation today. Not everybody wants to jump up and have the conversation. But emotionally intelligent dashboards of when we talk about combined metrics and what they mean, your portfolio grew 8%, right? But your legacy impact expanded 300%. That day that you decided to get that life insurance, that day that you decided to get that trust handled, you just expanded your impact. We want to make sure that we are using the right jargon, the right vernacular, the right words to describe the safe language. You should have safe language protocols set up. I said it. You should have that already set up. Because it helps you reframe jargon into affirmations. Let me give you an example. This isn't just an annuity. It's freedom. This is a freedom fund. See, it's not about the product at all. It's not. It's about the impact that it builds. So when we have these discussions about your relationship with money, it's interesting when we talk about financial tools and products, people assume they already got it, I already know about it, and they're easily misled to the things that they think they don't need because they've talked about the product. But see, the thing that they don't need is the product by itself. The thing that they are desiring is what it does for you. Does it give you impact? Does it create legacy? Do you want to leave a legacy for your kids and grandkids? Do you want to have a lifetime of retirement income? Most people will tell you yes, but the moment that you start talking about the financial instruments, you can see the blankness on their face. But see, we need not to focus on the instrument. That's just part of the journey. That's the tool that's necessary for us to achieve our overall goal, for you to step into that light that you deserve. Right? Am I talking to anyone today? Is this too deep of a conversation for the folks that are on tonight? If it's not, put it in the chat. Let me know you're with me. Talk to me. Let me know. Because, we're definitely in a time where we're noticing more and more people aren't financially savvy. Or emotionally tough. They're going to crumble under this economy if they don't feel like we have the right position. If we don't have the right positions, it could be tough. It can be tough. And like I said, this is about rebuilding from traumas. Doesn't necessarily have to be personal relationship. Trauma could have been going through COVID. That's a trauma that we all experienced, right? So let's talk about trust structures for a second and legacy planning as a tool for emotional closure. I'm shifting gears on you. And I'm giving you a second to really digest what I just said. We're using trust structures and legacy planning as a tool for emotional closure. See, trust and legacy frameworks, they aren't just financial instruments at this point. when we're having this conversation, their emotional architecture. When we design them intentionally, they often offer healing, clarity, and a sense of completeness for the individuals that we're talking to. And the families navigating through these past traumas, the grief and the generation disconnect, it goes away. It goes away. So many times that when we're talking about, we'll get lost. For me, one of the frustrating things about financial services and wealth building and the things that get caught in commercials, I think the commercials lack emotional attachment. They try very hard to do it, but because of regulations, they can't necessarily talk about the things that really, really, really matter to you. And when we start to think about why, we all need healing. We all need clarity. We all should have a sense of completion. Not everybody came from wealth. So we don't have the blueprint. Many cases, we don't. So when it comes to money, navigating these past traumas and grief and this generational disconnect is poisoning our society. But the moment that we start talking about how a trust structure can provide emotional closure for you, it's not based on how much money you have. I think I get agitated when I hear an attorney say to one of our clients, or, hey, you don't make enough money to have a trust. Well, let me make sure you understand. Depending on where you come from, that trust may keep a brother and sister from not talking for generations. It could have been $7 that need to be split down the middle. But because you had this trust set up, it prevented that from happening, not based off of your wealth. See, the symbol of stability, establishing trust, communicates that I've thought ahead, that I've protected what really matters to me. And that foresight, it can soothe out most anxiety, and it restores a sense of control. I know that if I set that up, I don't have to worry about family members misunderstanding or being in a misalignment of what my intentions were for the legacy that I left behind. Because I have intentional distribution. So what it means is that trust document allows you to allocate assets based on values. Not just fairness. I love how the good books, The Richest Man in Babylon, talked about just because you're family or bloodline doesn't mean that you're going to inherit these tools. And the person building this foundation should be wise enough to make sure that the person that I'll leave these tools behind to would be a good steward of the money. It's biblical. That has nothing to do with if it's your brother or sister. You may have a brother or sister that's just not good with money. Don't care about it. Just looking for more. But with your trust and this intentional distribution process that I'm speaking about, it allows you to allocate these assets based on those values. Not fairness. So this can resolve a lot of lingering emotional tension. That's what I view trust for, especially in a blended family or a strained family situation. Huh. Talk about a situation that you don't want to be sitting in. Everybody plays ball while the key members of a family are alive and well, but once that individual is no longer around, things change. Things have a way of changing. So I know I'm going a little slower today because I wanted to make sure you guys are getting it. So let's talk about legacy anchoring, because when you're naming a trust after a loved one or trying it, what's the words I want to use here? If you're tying it to a family mission statement, or if you're trying to create some emotional resonance or continuity, that's the anchoring of the legacy. Maybe you guys have a whole bunch of family members, but you want to tie it to, say, your great grandmother, or the person that really held the family together. That's what anchoring is all about. But the healing through clarity, these trust documents clarify the rules, the expectations, and the intentions. So this reduces the ambiguity that often fuels conflict in families and long-term resentment. Yes, it happens. And if it's happened in your family, you're not alone. You're not alone. And if you haven't witnessed it in your family is not above it. That's what we call a lights out moment. You wait long enough and live long enough, you might find out. But I would like for you to find out and you plan for it, rather than you find out and be caught off guard. Right? Right? So listen, when we come back, we're going to be talking about emotional intelligence. The emotional intelligence involved in planning. We're going to talk about that for a second. Because once you put all these tools together, you'll start to see for yourself that, wait a minute, some of the things that we've been doing and some of the things and the behaviors that I've seen in the past just didn't make sense. So we're going to talk about those activation ideas for that platform when we return. Hey, join our Lifestyle Focused Wealth community. Membership starting at $16 a month when you pay the annual subscription. So register online today at www.lifestylefocusedwealth.com. Hey, it's Ronco Johnson, your Lifestyle Focused Wealth Coach. Thank you guys for joining us. It's Lifestyle Focus Friday. Thank you so much for hanging in there with us. And today we've been talking about memory and money and healing financial misalignment. Are you in misalignment from what God's probably had in store for you? Do you feel like you're living below where you should be and you know it? And you're sitting there and you're comfortable with where you are, but you haven't made the strides to change it? Is that you? Is that you? Well, we're talking about the emotional intelligence and planning. So when we talk about when advisors who integrate empathy and active listening skills to help their clients process that grief, that anxiety, and that identity shift during their legacy creation period, that's life-changing. That's a shift that you can't monetize. That's a shift that most people are unaware of when they sit down with these types of professionals. I think these are some of the advantages you get when you go and be a part of what I call our lifestyle focused wealth community. When you become a legacy architect, when you're sharing these wealth building ideas with other people in the room that are doing the same thing that you're doing, you start to find out that their family is just like yours. You start to find out some of their decision habits were just like yours. You start to figure out that they're coming out of that cloud and you are too. And then you start to find out that those are the cornerstones for those families. Those happen to be the individuals in the room that everyone quietly looks up to. Emotional closure. It exercises, that exercise is tied to financial planning in so many ways. And, the decision for you to get a trust, as I said earlier, it's going to ripple down into the next generation, emotionally and financially. It's just going to do that. And if you don't take care of it now, somebody else will. And they may not respond the way that you had it in your brain. It may not. It just may not. So, how are we doing today? I want to take a moment to give you guys some questions. I see you out there. Leela, I see what you're saying. Having the trust leaves no questions. You're absolutely right. Why would I want to leave questions out there for people to misinterpret, right? I really think this is a difficult conversation. It's not really that difficult. I don't think this is a difficult conversation at all. Because once you start understanding why you're having the conversation and you focus on why you're having the conversation, it allows you to take action. So I just want you to do one of two things. Pick one area, whether it be savings, spending, or debt. And I want you to create a healing plan between now and next week. Just create a healing plan. That's not going to be easy for you. That's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy at all. Right? Well, here we go. I'm asking this question, and I'm really thinking about. I really think about it a little differently. Activating your legacy. Activating your legacy. It's really not. It's not just a phrase that we use and throw it around. It alone is a movement. It's a moment when financial strategy meets emotional resonance. And your story becomes a system for generational transformation to follow, a blueprint. It breaks down years and years and years of misalignment. And what is potential? With an A? It's Latin for power or potential. It's raw energy that your lived experiences, your wisdom, your vision, That's what this is. Your legacy potential is intentional activation of your energy into those structures. Please understand how I said that. It's your intentional activation of that energy into the structures, the financial structures, the trust, the coaching, the content, the platform, all that outlive you and empowers others. That's the legacy. That's the legacy. So when we're talking about discovery, I want to make sure that we identify core values, family narratives, financial blind spots that may be coming up and giving you a headache. That, from an emotional impact, that's what gives you clarity and reflection. See, when we get to the design phase in our framework, the architect, the legacy architect that I recognize, architects trust structures, insurance strategies, and branded legacy tools. That's what we design with. Why? Because it's designed to empower and allow you the maximum amount of control. The third phase of our planning, when we sit down with you, is transmission. And this is where we're going to deliver your story. We're going to talk about your ethical, wills and your modules that you want to set up for yourself. And this connection is where healing begins, because you're explaining it to an audience. You're explaining it to your sons, your daughters. You're explaining it to your nieces and your nephews. You're talking about it to people at the water cooler at work. And then number 4, the last phase. I keep wanting to say phrase, but phase is continuity. See, we build vaults, apps, and agent networks that preserve and scale impact, right? But the truth is, from an emotional impact mindset, all that does is create belonging or immortality. And I can say that because just this past week, we witnessed the passing of Malcolm Jamal Warner. And even though he was a grown man with new life experiences and a family, that television screen, that vault that we apply to our lifestyles every single day, every week, when the Cosby Show was on, it's still preserved. And the scale of those programs gave Black Americans a level of impact that had never been seen before. And in his passing, one of my clients and family members called me to tell me about his passing and couldn't understand why they were so emotionally disrupted by the news of someone that they didn't know personally. That's because that continuity that I'm speaking about That program created continuity between the character, the audience, and it created a sense of belonging. And over time, immortality. That's what we're talking about. It's not about money. It's not about money. It's not about money. So these creative concepts, to amplify what I'm saying, they're the golden thread that weaves through it all. Through the past, through the present, and the future. I need you to understand that Lifestyle Focused Wealth is our signature activation ritual. Every Friday, we're going to be right here every Friday at 1 o'clock. It's a guided experience where you can step into our legacy building vault, if you will, and immerse yourself in our storytelling, in our strategic planning, all at the same time. And our score, if you will, is measured on your emotional and financial and cultural readiness. Readiness for legacy activation. Hey, this is my time today. I have really enjoyed this conversation because it really takes you down a different line of thought. You have to think about your experiences. You have to think about your past traumas. You have to think about where you got the information that's helped you form your life. And once you figure that out, you and only you have the power to change it by activating and creating new habits and understanding the why you're doing it and the impact that it's going to have in the future and generationally. Hey, everybody, that's my time. I'm Ronco Johnson. This has been When the Lights Go Out. Are you ready? I just want to say thank you so much for hanging with us to the end. And if you need me, you know where to find me. But I'll see you next week, every Friday, 1 o'clock, right here on your YouTube channel. Until then, so long, be safe, and I'll see you next week.